everyone, welcome to our viaTalks. Today we will hear from Tom Anderson about how to speed up key data recovery with viaExtract. As you know, if you come here, if you listen to these a lot, you can follow along on Twitter using the hashtag viaTalks, and you have the handle at viaForensics. So if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to reach out to us there, or of course there's the chat window here on the right. You can send in a question and we'll answer it at the end of the talk. We really hope that you guys keep those questions rolling in during the presentation whenever anything strikes you so that we can make sure to get to your question. I'd like to introduce Tom.
Yeah, hi, thanks Elena. Okay, just a little bit about myself before I start. My name's Tom Anderson. I'm a mobile security engineer here at viaForensics. I've got an 8-year kind of background in forensics R&D and software development, and I've been with viaForensics now for around a year and a half. Okay, just a quick overview of the product, viaExtract, for those that don't know. What it is it's a complete forensic analysis software tool for Android devices, soon to be iOS as well. There's 4 key areas that we tend to focus on. Those are acquisition of the device, so preparing and connecting your device, enabling you to unlock any screen locks that are set on that device. We provide root exploits for multiple devices if needed, and then we give you 4 different main extraction types: logical, ADB backup, file system, and physical extractions. And then once you've got that data, there's various tools we provide to actually analyze it, and then finally the reporting functionality as well to put your selected data into a printable report. Okay, so what I'm actually going to talk about today is the analyze part of the product. And how you can actually use viaExtract to find the key data that you're interested in fast. So the main topics today are going to be the new global search and timeline tools that we've introduced, as well as file carving, file searching, which is different to global search. Obviously, I'll explain that in a bit, and also string searching. We're going to kick off now with a quick poll for our listeners, and we're just going to ask you what methods do you most like to use to find key data when you're doing a forensic examination. Is it global searching, so using key terms across all the files that have been extracted to quickly get to the data, or do you like to list strings within an individual file and then pinpoint the data that way? Raw searching through like the hex data of a file or an image. Do you like to sort the data by time and date and pick out specific data based on a date range, like you can do with a timeline? Or do you go for the data carving, or something else that we haven't listed here? If you can put your answers in the poll, which should be on the GoTo webinar, and we'll take a look at those. Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to just talk first of all about the global search tool. I'm just going to give you lots of nice screenshots so I can talk about the screens and the functionality on these screens. The first one here is I've completed 4 different extractions on the same device: the physical, file system, ADB backup, and logical extractions that I mentioned before. This is just really to show the search capabilities. And then in this instance here, what you can see on the screen is a search query. I've entered an email address that I suspect is going to be in the data that I'm looking for, and then I just hit that search button at the top, and then all the search results are listed from all the acquisitions. In this case, it's the what we call artifacts, so anything that we've already analysed. So here you can see people, contacts, calendars, email accounts, things like that. And then, when you actually click on one of the records, the data is displayed beneath. And if you then want to add that information to the final report, you've got the checkbox to the left under the report section. If you just click on that, and then when you generate your report, that information will be there. Okay, so I've now flipped over to the Documents tab. This is actually in our upcoming version, which should be released this week. We now actually index data from SQLite databases. So if you're doing a file system extraction, there's potentially hundreds of SQLite databases that we don't necessarily automatically decode into artifacts right now, but we give you the ability to be able to search within those and automatically quickly find that data. So for instance, if there's an app that we don't support, but you have this email address again that you know is of a suspect's been in contact with, maybe the app database will be listed here, and you'll find that information. You can then, if you click on the Add as Finding button up here, the selected record will then go into what we call Analyst Findings. It generates some HTML data, so it's prepared for the report. And then at the bottom here you can add a comment if you wish. We then have the Analyst Findings, which is on the left hand side in the UI. You can click on those and you can view all of the Analyst Findings that you've added from the search data or elsewhere in the program. Again, you can edit this if you need to, the HTML data before adding it to the report. And then as you can see here in the report, there's a section for Analyst Findings. It lists the basic details of the file it was found in, the SHA-1 hash of the file, the date time that you added it, and the comment there, and then the actual data is beneath. Okay, onto the timeline. This is another new feature which I really like. Here we've got the what's happened here is I've done I think this is a file system extraction, and basically the timeline has found all the artifacts which have got date time associated with them, and then it's produced it in this bar graph here. This is a yearly view, but you can zoom in, as I'll show you shortly, and really pinpoint that data. On the right hand side here we have the legend, which shows all the artifacts that are included in the report. You can deselect or select whichever ones you want, and then at the bottom left we have the records here are listed. Again, I'll show you this in a bit more detail, and then the artifact preview of the actual data is shown on the bottom right. Okay, so here I've zoomed into months. It's really nice. You can just double click on the bar that you want to zoom into, and it automatically zooms in on that data. Again, on the bottom left here you should now see it's gone from years into the months, and then here I've actually just deselected the external media and internal media, and I think it's really effective. It's the same amount of data, but if I go back here, it just seems like one big red bar graph because there's just a lot of images in that time. But if you're not particularly interested in those images, you just remove those, and you can actually see a lot clearer the other artifacts are there. Okay, in this instance it's a test device of mine, so there's not a whole amount of information. So here I've zoomed into hours, but you can actually zoom into seconds, so you can just zoom into a specific minute that you want, and it will show the seconds within that minute and all the artifacts around that minute. Also here you can see I've actually expanded out the hours here, and I can see each individual record. In this case there is only one, but if there was more there would be a list there, and then you can actually click on that record, and the artifact is previewed on the right. Again, if you want to add this to the report, you can just hit the checkbox there. You can select all the records from the actual the main node there, so you could select all of the records from a month or an hour or a minute if you wanted to, and just report those values if a certain time range is key to you. Okay, here, so I've just selected a record there. You can see an SMS, and if I generated the report now, I can just say I only include the checked records, and that's what would be in my final report. Okay, so file carving now. I don't know, maybe you managed to catch my talk last week on deleted information recovery, where I went into a bit more detail on file carving. You can still see that if you visit our YouTube channel, and I'll actually talk a bit more about how we do the file carving there. But just for the purpose of this talk, I'll just give a brief overview. So when you do a physical extraction, obviously a physical image is created, and then you also have the option, as well as extracting artifacts from that, you can run our carving tool, which is which is Scalpel, with our own custom configuration. So here you can see carved images from the image. Again, this is from my test device, so the information is fairly limited, but this will give you back any JPEG files or PNG files or GIFs, and display those there. You've also got documents, audio files, SQLite databases, and zip files there. So here you can see SQLite databases. The difficulty with carving SQLite databases is there's no specific footer. So when you do a simple carve, you can find the header, but you can't necessarily know without additional processing when the file ends. So these are just an indication, and they give you the introduction to the file, and the start point there, so you can find and potentially carve the complete file yourself afterwards if you wanted to. Okay, so next on to string searching. Again, this is a really simple but effective method of finding deleted information, or just information that's maybe not automatically processed. What I've actually done here is I've just opened one of the SQLite databases from the carve that I just showed you there, and then when you open the database, it opens automatically in what we call our artifact viewer. You can view, as it's an SQLite database, you can view the SQLite content, the table names, and things like that. There's also the hex view, what we're looking at now, which is the strings view, and the search view as well. So with the string view, you have some limiting functions here, so you can set the minimum string length that you want to find, and also the encoding of the string. So here we just have like ASCII text, but you can also look for like Unicode and things like that. You can also specify an offset if you want to skip the beginning of the file if you know that there's no useful information there. In this case, I just left the default values and I just hit the start button, and it came back with 217 strings. Now this database is carved, so there's no specific name or anything like that, so I don't really know anything about this file at this point. But I've hit this string search button, and then it's come back, and there's a few interesting strings in here. From my knowledge of Android devices, I can see that this is obviously a Google application, and it mentions places and things like that, so I think this might have something to do with Google Maps. There's also some places here, that I've possibly searched for. As a fan of Manchester United Football Club, I must have searched for that at some point, so that information's there. I can then go on to the next stage, which is file search. So the previous one intrigued me, so I've hit the search, and I've typed in the search term Manchester. Again, this is on the exact same SQLite database, and then I've got several hits here. What this search function gives you is the offset to the actual match text and the line number that text is found on. So you can see that I've got, I think it's 14 matches there for Manchester. One cool thing about this search function as well is that you can do regular expression searching. Again, I touched on this a little bit more in my deleted data recovery talk, but you can put in things like an email address, regular expression searching on a complete physical image of a device, and then that will come back with all of the hits for email addresses. Okay, so when you actually click on one of these records, you can, again, just up on the top left here, you may just be able to make it out, there's add selection as findings, and again this will add the selected records into the analyst findings section, which you can then add into the report if you want to. Double clicking on one of these records takes you over to the hex view, and it actually shows you the location in the raw file of where that data was found. Obviously, if you're just searching for a partial string, then this can give you more information. Maybe there's a particular word you're searching for, and then this could be a message or something like that, and then you'll get the complete message by looking at this hex view. Okay. Okay, so that's my talk today on speeding up finding your key data with viaExtract. These talks are done every Tuesday, and you can see what talks are coming up or watch past talks if you go to our website there at viaforensics.com/viaTalks.
Thanks, Tom. I've put in the chat window for everybody who's listening, I put the link to Tom's talk from last week that goes into more detail that he was talking about. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, the link is down there. You can also go to youtube.com/viaprotect to see any of our past webinars, any of our past viaTalks. So we do have a couple questions coming in, and before I read the first one, I'm just going to remind everyone to go ahead and put your questions in the question box, or you can tweet them to us at viaforensics or with the hashtag viaTalks with an S on the end. So the first question we have for you, Tom, is what operating systems does viaExtract work with? Okay,
we actually develop and we recommend our users use Santoku Linux. It's a free Linux distribution that we actually sponsor. And as we develop on it, we ensure that everything that we create works properly on that. You can potentially use other Linux distributions, but there's not necessarily any support from us. Obviously, if you're having an issue, you can contact us and we might be able to help, but we do recommend that you use Santoku Linux.
Will the timeline feature be available in viaExtract CE? And then can you also explain what viaExtract CE is? Okay,
yeah, of course. Yes, for the first part of the question, yes, the timeline is available in viaExtract CE. The viaExtract CE is actually our community edition version of viaExtract. Again, I did a talk on this probably around a month ago now, but basically both our products, viaExtract and viaLab, are now, viaLab has released their CE edition, and we're shortly going to be releasing our viaExtract CE edition, and this is a free version, completely free, no time limit, no strings attached, as it were, version of our product. The only limitations for viaExtract are the physical extraction is removed, and there's no reporting functionality. And we also specify that the product is not to be used on actual forensic cases.
Okay, we have another question here. It says, can I view data from more than one device on the timeline?
Currently, the timeline is specific for a single extraction on a single device, but it is actually in the pipeline. We're still working. As I said before, it's a very new feature. We are still working on it, and we're hoping to add the capability of viewing more than one device on a single timeline, so you can compare results and find the data even faster. So.
Great, and then I'm going to encourage everybody to please, looks like we have one more question, but if you have any more questions, please go ahead and type them in the question box there. We don't have, because I don't know, in case you guys didn't notice, Tom is British, and so he's not here. So we don't actually have the capability right now to answer hand raises right now in the webinar. So if you could go ahead and put your question in the question box, that would be great. And then one more that I have right now for you is, can I use regular expressions in the global search?
Again, this is a similar answer to the last question, actually. The global search is another new feature. Right now, it's just for text-based searching only. We have got the regular expression support planned, and I really hope to see that soon in one of the upcoming versions of viaExtract.
Okay, and then we have one more question for you, which is this carving for Android or is it for all smartphones?
Again, right now the product just works with Android. It's another planned feature which we hope to have in at some point this year. We will allow you to import other images from files. From other devices, and you'll be able to carve that information. And also, when we do, we are planning on adding in iOS physical support as well. So when that's introduced, we may be able to offer some file carving on those as well.
So it looks like we're about out of time now. So we just wanted to say thank you so much to Tom for taking the time to do this and to come here and talk to us. And I wanted to remind everybody else that if you go to viaforensics.com/viaTalks, you can register for any of our upcoming viaTalks. We have a few coming up. We have a new webinar series in Spanish right now. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and sign up. And if you want to see any of the past videos or videos and clips from today's, please go to youtube.com/viaprotect and subscribe, and you can have access to any of those things. So we really hope you enjoyed this. There should be a survey at the end if you have any input you'd like to give. And thank you all very much for coming. Hope you have a great day. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.